things really haven't changed too much over the years. Everybody knows the worries with moving somebody that possibly has a spinal injury. So we have all these fun devices that help to prevent any further aggravation to injury. This here is your typical adult C-collar. They come packaged like this. Everything's packaged so that these, they're hard, they're stiff, they're uncomfortable. There's no other way around it. Tell the patient, this is not going to be comfortable, but I have to do this just in case. The best way for these, because they are stiff, if you open it and you take this far end over here and just roll it, it'll make it a little more easy to work with. Just roll it, squeeze it a good time, and you can see it kind of curves it. This flap here, you actually have to take and flip it over so that this foam side is facing up.
I know how to do it.
You Danny?
I'm gonna use Bobby for a minute.
So you want me to
Go,
go up there?
go up there.
So,
No,
they're
no,
videoing.
I mean, it's fine.
I was gonna let
Oh,
it,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
No, you
Take
can-
the chair.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
sit
sit
here.
here.
I worked with Bobby on a few reps. So, you always wanna make sure, I know you guys typically find patients in the woods, things like that. I know a little of what you do as far as search. People ask me and I'm like, they have dogs and they search for people. These things, like I said, they're not comfortable. You wanna make sure that they keep their, you wanna make sure that they keep their head straight, okay? Don't move it. At this point, you should have someone holding their neck about like this to make sure that they don't move. You will have somebody else come in and this rests right under the chin. You do not want them to extend their neck. You want them to leave it just straight. So you hold it this way, you wrap it around. I'm not gonna do it too tight. You want it snug, but don't try to cause any issues with any airway.
So how do you work that with somebody holding the head and then not moving their,
The way you do that is if they're holding here,
yeah?
as you bring it around, they need to walk their hand up, keeping this hand here. Now what she'll do, you see you kind of hold right here along their jawline and place your thumbs at the back of their head, and that will help hold everything to where they're not gonna move. Because you think if somebody's got their hands on your neck, you're more hesitant to do this unless they're really distraught and you have to calm them down to do it that way. But what you'll do is you'll actually slide this under here. She raises her hand.
You make such a
Bring
great
this
dummy,
around.
Bobby.
And you Velcro it. Now at that point, you don't want this person to let go. Because even though they've got that brace on their neck, some people will still do this. So you have someone maintain C-spine, just by holding there. Because with someone here, you can also talk to them and, hey, just stay calm, focus on breathing, keep your neck still, we don't wanna aggravate anything. But these are not comfortable. They do come in ped sizes. I didn't grab any. The ped sizes fit most females. So you can kind of gauge. I probably could have used a peds on Bobby, but
It's not as fun.
Don't move, Bobby.
we've got
Horrible time or something.
short people are great.
Yeah.
So this is typically what it looks like. And this is just, say you find somebody slumped against a tree, or even if you roll up on an MBA, we don't mind extra hands. If you can simply hold C-collar, or put on a C-collar, hold C-spine, either way, we welcome you.
What's
So,
an MBA?
An MBA is a motor vehicle accident, so a wreck.
Oh, it's
Um,
V. Or B, sorry.
MVA. So anybody sitting in a car, like I said, up against a tree, you don't know what injuries they are, especially if their mental status is not intact completely. You don't know what all they've been through.
Well, that goes along with Bobby
So-
too.
So putting a seat collar on is good just in case. If, Kinsey arrives and they are able to determine that there's not any reason for it, they can take it off. But typically, once this is applied, it does not come off until they get to the hospital and the doctor assesses it. So that's your typical, seat collar. Not comfortable. But like I said, when you put this on, you do not want them to do this. And if you see that it's so big that it's going to force their head up, you need to swap to a Pete's. Because you do not wanna do that. If they've aggravated anything in their neck and you do that, you're gonna make it worse. So, like I said, this is more so of a deterrent just to keep their head still, not to cause any further injury. If for some reason, on the way to the hospital, they decide they're not gonna breathe, or for some reason a paramedic decides that they're gonna have to do some sort of trach, or they need a trach immediately when they get to the hospital, this holds perfect for that. So you wanna make sure that that lines up right there. So if this is too big for me. They do adjust these little blue tabs on both sides here. They do adjust. You have to pull them out. Pull it out and slide it. I can't ever stop.
So it's easier just to grab a piece.
Yeah, it's easier to grab these. They can go up to make them bigger, or that's the smallest that an adult goes. So if this size doesn't fit, you need a piece. I've got a couple. I was telling Bobby I grabbed a couple that way if everybody wanted to pair off, you can practice applying C-spine. Usually you have multiple people in an incident where you're gonna do C-spine, C-collar, spinal stabilization. You don't have just one person, typically. So,
So if you,
that way,
so if you hold their head, when can you let go?
you don't let go.
Okay.
If you are holding C-collar or C-spine, you're there. For
Till
no
what?
reason do you
Till
let go.
somebody else
takes
Until someone else takes over, or until Hemsey gets there, and if they decide to put them on a longboard, like we got here, you will still hold it until, when we get to that point, I'll show you guys. There are headrests, that hold the neck in place, just like holding C-spine, and then you strap them across the forehead to make sure that their head does not move. So we'll get to that point when we get to the longboards.
When I first trained with the sandbags, IV bags filled up with sand that they laid here, they didn't have the
They're
fancy.
just pillows, just to put here. Yeah. So,
Did you have to crush the glass to make the sand too?
Huh?
Did you have to crush the glass to make the sand too?
Yeah.
Here,
so have
you want me
anybody
to? You want me to?
Other than the EMTs, the nurse, has anybody else ever messed with a C-collar at all? Okay, so if we want to, like I said, just kind of pair off, I've got a few more. That way you can just get the idea of setting it up right, and strapping it on without somebody moving. That way you're a little more familiar, not just watching me, but you get hands on and you kind of get the idea of what you're doing, that way when you have to use it, you got it. So,
Sandra, is that something we're gonna have to carry?
I've got one in the truck.
no necks?
You just put it, like, wear it on
Usually,
call out,
if
so
we
It
find
does say
them,
necklace.
most
I would
time
say
we'll
no
just
neck.
have to
No neck is a neck ring. On the
hold
smallest,
C-spine
these
while
are the
they're
hand
coming in
moves.
to help us.
We get all of this from
And
him.
that's the importance
So
of
we try to
controlling
stick
the
with whatever they use.
Right.
Keep her
We're
from
gonna
moving.
So we work with Keller, are we, Keller does
some way
Hackett
keep
County
them
and
from
Mike
moving
does the other half,
totally
we're all
moving
volunteer.
their neck
Yeah, let's
and
just
all.
work.
So that, you know,
So you
we're
have
radiating and they're coming in
The
with
same
medics
products,
and whatever they
different
have.
companies.
Straight
So the
and
just,
stuff like
They're a
that.
little, they're a little different, ours have a little, you saw them in, have a little thing, it's a little, more tactical than that, that's.
So now, for this,
back in my day, like I said, we filled IV bags full of sand and closed it off to use those. Sandbags beside that to see collars fine, and then tape them across, so that there was no way to move from the shoulders up, there was no way to move that head. But, I mean, I did ride the ambulance a few years, and sandbags come in handy when, they wanna fight you and everything else, they don't leave any marks. But still,
So if you guys wanna get in at least groups of 3, we may have one group of 4. That one person's gonna be the patient, one person's gonna apply C-spine, and one person's gonna apply C-collar. And you can rotate, that way you each understand how it works to put it on. So it's you two, who else was EMT? Nurse, you are? I know. So we can get an EMT or a nurse, with currently 2 people, and then there's one group that should have 4, I believe. So, if you want to.
and the horror story of C-spine is their chairman of the board that had the motorcycle accident that was thrown out too early. They cleared
You guys
his
get me
C-spine and all this other stuff, and he walked around without a C-collar even for 2 months with a fractured neck. So since he's had neck surgery, the doctors and,
Bobby's there, he's there.
POC said,
Can I get,
should be dead.
Yeah.
can I get one of you? Oh, right. Can I get one of you with that group?
Yeah.
I think everybody else is.
You already said, do you wanna be the practice?
No,
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, if you're one. So,
yes. And the flat, and it's, yeah,
Now, this would need to be correct?
need to get rolled in.
We need to slide
Let's
it
see.
down.
He just got it out of the bag.
and I can change that.
We had been dead by then, when y'all
And you typically ask, are you having any neck pain, any back pain, any shoulder discomfort, chest discomfort, anything like that, that way you know what's going on before you apply.
No, you gotta work around the hair. Just keep rubbing.
You bet.
I gotta put it easy. Right, like I said, they do expand. Do it all the time. Someone with a longer neck. I was gonna pull these blue tabs out.
be all right.
Pull these.
Sorry.
Chin strap. Pull that up. You've got.
Your dog isn't gonna be.
We always, they come in the packages on the necklace.
Now, you're not gonna move the neck from the position it's in.
And then once you lift it to where you need it, put your areas back in, make sure you lock those, otherwise
Spread
it's
them out
gonna
the
fall
appropriate.
because the chin on.
Over there. In neutral.
You can help. So, what if she, what if her head is already sideways?
Then you would, and you can slide it up, you can unlock it and slide it under to the chin and see where it's gonna fit before you lock it. You don't want it way down here
You
on
can
your
beat your
chest.
nose, what your patient's
Put
gonna
it
say.
there, and then you can lock that and work. You can't size it to them while they're sitting.
Oh, yeah. Whoever's doing it.
If I want it to be.
You got
to
it.
get them to move.
You've got her head.
You're in control.
Hold on, what you don't think.
And you put it on your shoulder.
Okay.
I
Feel like I went to chiropractor.
When I say control,
You're
you're
running your hand up.
going backward.
Yeah.
But this person says, okay, 1, 2, 3, move, and you've already discussed what you're gonna move to.
And you want it tight enough that it's not
But they
gonna
say
cause
you
any
can
airway
go-
issues,
They
it's
got
not
it.
gonna cause any extra pain, but.
If you let go.
And then you don't
Unless
have
they're
to
trying
stop.
to do
You
that.
want to
So you let go, right?
Yeah, see where that's centered, if they have, for some reason they have a trick, they can go right
It
in.
was good. So, have you got
They're not
one?
comfortable, they're not density, they're deterrent.
The reason being, you need to be able to get in position to do what it is. It feels good. Now you can just take
No,
one
no,
seat.
no, wait, you got him on the board, then tell
Grab
him.
it. So his head down.
Good job.
It actually might feel good. However you need it.
And like I said, they usually, once it's applied, it stays there until they get to the hospital.
Here, Frank, let's put your hair on.
Just
Hair up, out of the way. You don't want it to go.
That's the worst part. is
Yeah, this is gonna
you're
Yeah.
in a car.
I usually, anybody holding a seat on, seat's fine, I just tell them, ask them questions. Talk to them about their family, if they're alert and oriented, I mean, kids, I put it yeah. Keep them occupied so that they're not sitting there getting more worked up, or if they're having trouble breathing, go calm them down, and just say, okay, stay slow, steady breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth, blow out like you're blowing out a birthday candle, as much as you can, make sure you blow that amount out. A lot of times, if you get that in their head, they'll start thinking about their breathing, all that,
You gotta readjust.
Something in your way, you can't move when you take X-rays and all that good stuff. Because somebody else has to take your C spine and then you can read.
sometimes if they have larger ears, their ears will get caught in it. I try just to kind of lift them up so that, you know, it's not hurting. It doesn't
She's
pinch
just
them.
playing with his ears now.
He's making them longer.
But like I was telling them, if you're sitting with somebody and you're holding a good thing to learn is just talk. If you've already determined that you're alert and oriented, talk to them, ask them about their kids, about their wife, you know, what do you do for work?
Almost too loose.
Keep them occupied so that they're not getting worked up over what all's going on because there's gonna be a lot of people around. Just, yeah, and you can talk to them about their breathing if they start hyperventilating. Your nose, out your mouth, like you say, blow out, like you're blowing out a birthday candle. Just take in, make sure you're putting it out, and just sit there and talk them through their breathing. Once they get that kind of in their mind, what I notice is that they're not worried about anything else, because I'm like, let's just focus on that.
Got a sassy patient here.
And then once they start to calm down, they're gonna start feeling more pain, so they can let you know what new issues they have. That way, when Jimsy gets there for transport, you can say, okay, we wasn't complaining of this, but now we are.
Current good?
Well, I say Jimsy because it's what ambulance service, whatever transport service is coming to get them,
So that's fine.
they'll work on it that way.
So.
And I was telling them, you can adjust them if you're not sure, on the size, because they come in some packages, they come on this necklace. If you're not
You
sure,
three have never been in a car where you
if
got.
they have a longer neck,
Backwards.
you can actually just unlock it,
I'm just saying.
just unlock it.
Well, wait, that's what you wanna find.
That's how
You realize your right arm is free,
Cause right in
and
here.
wherever you go, it becomes your problem.
Gonna
You
cut.
can actually, as you're putting it on to see what fits.
So most
Actually, we'll make you this stuff.
Otherwise, it's just gonna fall.
They're not gonna be
It's not gonna do
sitting
anything.
on the measure like that.
Oh, they're gonna be all time.
I'm doing a spa.
It's kind of annoying,
You can look
kind
at
of
it.
annoying, but,
I typically,
I always just pull these
the
out.
way that it comes,
It has to
I
be moved
found
so we
with
can.
any or calls or any of those that require a C-collar,
Because if you do
I
an
found that
invest
the
control
necklace
method,
works
it
the most
matters
I don't
what you
even
pay.
touch the cloth.
Sure.
I mean, I can give my beer.
I put it on and kind of look at it before I start, and if it's sitting
Slide it off.
right there,
Beer.
you want it to go right there.
We'll get you a
Mid-
This comfort really comes in, once you place on the backboard, on the back of your head.
it's got a good base,
Yeah.
it's not sitting on anything like a, they have hoodies on, sometimes
Kills me
they'll
if
have
it's
it,
been a guy
and if it
like
causes
that.
issues, you can cut that off. You can cut it open, open it up, put their C-collar on, because they're not, it's gonna have to come out anyways, and if you've got it sitting behind the hoodie, it's gonna have issues for evaluating patients.
Just so that it doesn't.
Cut it straight down, and then
Just like this, it's okay.
you like to put it
Okay, all you can get is this part.
I usually basically say they call it, but they call it
Shoulder blade.
right.
If you had it all the way
It's
up.
like you look back, but you feel how you raise your head up, it stretches, so you wanna make sure you don't do that.
Right.
They just want to straight normal, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Slide those arrows back in,
so you want the sitting on the shoulder.
Is it really?
Right.
Almost
the one properly on your neck? You feel it? No, gotta keep going. You sure you feel it? Sure?
More.
Oh, basically, look at the fine.
He yelled at him all the way to the Queen in the helicopter. We could still get
That's
He was yelling at me, he did not want to go.
And the back, that is, you got it like this.
What was the?
You have it perfectly placed. Like, we could probably use it.
Already done.
It's not all about control, it's just stabilize the Typically, if this lines up right here on your spine,
It's fun. You gotta.
right back on the back of your neck,
It's fun.
they can feel
That is one out.
and they can tell if your spine is going
Don't
this
let her
way
out.
instead of going straight up.
But if I asked,
But this is so, okay,
there was.
do you feel any pain when I touch your neck?
Kids that have gone down.
That kind of thing, I can look down here,
So
I can
ma'am,
feel. But that's what those are used.
Everything good so far?
It's more so for evaluation,
They
but
grabbed
this
later
doesn't have to be
yesterday,
taken off to look at their
About
neck.
his dates.
And he was
Yeah, I know
complaining
you
about
said
some
it's
different
from
things,
the
right?
Yeah,
And
because you
ready
watch
to
the
let go of
jugular.
this helmet and get
You
his
guys
phone
are
out, and I was coming
you
over
are
there.
not, you are
Don't
not.
move your hands.
You heard of chasing cars or
So I just got the phone and I called and I told Coach, I said, you can't, don't move, don't let go, just stay there.
He's got like 2 or 3 lights.
Yeah. So there are situations like that.
I have seen
I
some
wasn't gonna go further than that,
paramedics,
but I was like, you
if we
can't
look
go.
at, we see collar patients,
But my
they
son
can
and I,
just right
we
next
do
to
that,
their
and that's what I.
evaluation.
No moving at all.
Yeah.
I told
Just
them
carry it
like,
like all like that, they'll take it off.
you know, stuff like that.
Depending on the severity of a wreck, I put it on regardless. Because you don't.
And then my
Yeah,
brother.
we're having fun on Daddy because he was walking around talking.
Safety first.
So did everybody get to play putting the C collar on and doing C spine? So you know how to roll your hands up, cause you wanna maintain that, but you want
No, they
to
did.
get out of the way so that they can see collar. So, I guess the next thing we can do is the
Found out
backwards.
earlier that there was a lot on
He was having a little bit of pain and all that, and they were doing, talking about doing back surgery and all that, and they found the x-ray.
I don't know how y'all.
We found out a lot that earlier yesterday.
Because these are typically in here.
Is that all?
What they're ordering.
I should have put it up one more.
Let me know okay, if y'all remember once you're backwards, put it all together. So they, sorry to ask about showing you guys
Alright.
how to actually strap someone to a backboard and what it's like to actually carry them. We usually don't carry them a whole long distance before we get them to the stretcher. But you have those situations where you might have to, and they're not always easy to carry.
There's those ones you have to use a big stretch.
I can,
And up a ditch and through some woods.
Yeah. I'm sure you still best, always.
This here, we actually picked up a lot of backboards from the hospital that some agencies did not want to come pick up because they're way off, like their patients that have been transferred to Huntsville on their backboards. This one was actually a 2-piece that was connected, but when we picked it up, it bowed in the middle, so we disconnected it so we can use this as a P's board. So we have 2 of these because you can strap a child that needs. It's a little more cumbersome on a full-length longboard, so these come in handy for your small kids.
do you ever, do the C-spine and slide that in behind them if they're sitting in a car?
Yes. And as far as patients, we do have, we have short boards that we use for like extrication purposes that we stick in between the patient and the door so that they're not hit with tools. We can actually put those behind the patient as well. Or there's a device called a KDD. We don't usually use them because nobody thinks about them when we actually.
They're the easiest, but
Um,
nobody.
They're
But
all
it
color
is
coded.
made so that if somebody is seated, they're seated, in a chair, in a car, whatever, it slides right behind them, and it's got straps that you wrap them around the inside of their legs. And then it's got 3 more buckles across the stomach, the chest, and then there is a strap that you can strap the head to after you put a seat collar on. And that maintains their spine while they're in that position while you're trying to extricate them from the car. So that's better. We just, here, we never grab it. We have it, we just never grab it. So,
Drink with him.
That right there would be so much easier,
it would,
except for lifting.
yeah, lifting is fine.
These
These are not
No idea what to do with those.
ones that you probably don't see very often. These are some of the older boards. Like I said, we got these, from companies that no longer order them. We use them for practicing. The ones we usually see with Hemsey are that yellow, more so that shape. They're not comfortable. I know I've had some Hemsey employees let me know that they prefer that first responders not board a patient. They want us to wait till they get there and they make the judgment call of whether a patient needs to be on the backboard or not. Because it can aggravate injuries that are already there. It can make new injuries. So, they're not comfortable. They're plastic. Most of them float. There are some that have metal on them. They don't float very well. All these here are for the purpose of straps, for grabbing them, to carry them. So, we have a few. The other one in the corner that is in pieces, it is a scoop stretcher. It's not broke. This is what you use for someone that is in a tight space, a bathroom, in between a couple of trees,
Waterbed.
a waterbed.
They're also in the waterbed.
It comes in two pieces because storage is easier. But I'm gonna do this on the table.
So that I lie on the floor to anything.
They this here, that's the head. This is the feet. The feet expand. You pull this yellow thing out. And it catches. So when you have really, really tall patients, you can still get them on here. I don't know how far. That's about it.
That'd be
They're
giant.
that tall.
That's where it locks. So that's
Everybody's
the,
taller than that, I'm always.
that's the longest that you can go with. But remember, if you adjust this side, you have to adjust that side. So if you've got we'll adjust this one. Things that they're not always the easiest to deal with. So it clicks together at the head and at the feet. When you do this, you actually have to lift the patient slightly or roll them, do a log roll, one side to the other. Doing this scoop stretcher does not change the fact that before you put a patient on a backboard, you've got to check their back. So typically you log roll them and you walk down their spine. You want to feel for any step off, any deviation in what the spine should feel like, which is straight. You can also check for puncture wounds, bleeding, anything that's on the back. That way you can notate that.
Intrusion.
You can fix it before you lay them back down. So you would roll them. Say you got a patient up against 2 trees. They're a large patient. You can't just drag them out because you're not 100% on what their injuries are. So you would stick this on one side of them and try to get it under as far as possible. You would actually roll them with multiple people. You guys familiar with log rolls?
I don't think they.
You can do me.
Somebody holding C-spine, because you don't want, when you roll them, you don't want their head flopping. You wanna maintain all of this to stay straight. So someone would be holding C-spine. You have someone typically at the shoulders. You can do it with 3 people. Someone holding C-spine, someone at the shoulder and the waist, and someone at the, just below the hips and at the ankles. And you're going to actually roll them towards you. Whoever has C-spine has control of when the patient is moved. So if you are holding C-spine, you will say, okay, on my count, we're gonna roll to the right, to the left. So you count to 3, you roll. You have to make sure that as they're rolling, you're not just hands here letting them roll. You've got to actually hold their neck in place. And that's, especially if you don't have a C-collar on them yet. Best thing before you roll them is to put a C-collar on. It helps to keep that straight, but you still have to hold C-spine. So you would roll them, you stick this up under one side, and then on whoever's holding C-spine, on their count, you roll them back after you've done a quick check of their backside, the back of their legs, anything like that. And then you do the same thing for this side. They will just roll the opposite way. Once you get this good and underneath them, these click into place. Once you hear those locks, it now is one piece. So, like I said, these are great for tight fits. To unlock them, because sometimes they're stored together, there is, this piece right here. Everybody see that? That's the lock. So you have to push it down and pull it apart. Because sometimes once you get them on a stretcher, they'll want to take this out from underneath. So if you can help unlock it, and you unlock it and easily pull it out from underneath them once they're on a stretcher. It's that easy. You don't want to jerk it. You don't want to jar them anymore to cause any more injuries. So this one is, it's good. It's a pain in the butt, but it's good. So we have that one. Whether you have a scoop stretcher or a basic backboard, we use these straps. I know Bobby's got some webbing. You can use webbing. These come in these packages. There are 3 in each package. These are great to keep in your pockets or keep in your bag, because you can use them more for other situations than just strapping the patient down. Typically, when you're strapping a patient to the backboard, you go nipples, navel, knees, noggin. All ends. I know knee starts with a K, but it's the sound we look at. Nipples, navel, knees, noggin. Always do the head last, just in case they shift either way. You don't want to have their head strapped down and their body shift, because then you're messing with their alignment. Always the head last, and that is when this comes into place. So I'll explain that. With these, they have this white sticky, or the white cover. They're adhesive. So you would white side up, stick it through and over. You would then take the white part off and stick it together. You do the same thing on this side. You can adjust the length depending on how small or how large your patient is. You want a measurement of 2 fingers. You don't want it so tight that you're restricting the patient's airway or breathing capabilities. So you want to make sure you can at least slide 2 fingers in between the patient and the straps. You don't want them too loose. So you would do nipples, navel, knees, and then this, once they have a C-collar on, this is hard to do on the scoop. This is typically used with the traditional backboard. This is They call it a head wedge. It's a headrest. These tabs here, these are adhesive as well. So you stick it on a backboard like that where their head's gonna go. You pull these red tabs and slap it down before you put the patient on there, or you can do it when they're in there so you know how to place it. But you just push these down firmly, they adhere to the backboard. Then, what you're gonna do, this white tab, this white, almost like D-ring pull here, if you pull it, that right there, once you do that, and this is on a backboard, and they have their C-collar on, and their head is here, this is where their neck rests, this is now gonna hold C-spine. So at that point is when whoever has been holding their neck the entire time can let go.
Once it's taped down.
Once it's taped down and it's on there, then
Cause they can
You
spin
don't
that
have to
up.
put a
You have to-
forehead strap down?
you would, once that's on, and you can then, like I said, these come in 3, so you can probably open another one. But you would use one of these straps, and you go across their forehead. I have seen them, you can, instead of going across their forehead, especially if they have any trauma to the face, you don't wanna mess with that. You can go across the C-collar, loosely, because it is going to help stabilize the neck. The issue there is, if for any reason that backboard decides to flip, you now have something holding on their neck. So my preference, unless they have, like I said, trauma to the forehead, is to strap it right across the forehead.
It just comes with the little things you put beside them and has a strap that goes across the forehead and across their chin to hold them down.
Depending on what medic unit runs, we will have those. Not all of them have them.
But you don't want, when, in my day, that 3-inch piece of silk tape across your forehead.
Oh yeah, that's taken down.
You don't move in, cause that tape is, it's thick.
You double
The
the
hair all
tape.
stays with the tape.
So, I was told we had someone that was gonna be put on a backboard.
I will.
You said you put on a backboard?
You
Who's
can,
standing?
or I will. I've been there before.
It doesn't matter who does it. What I want you guys to do, and I have a couple of backboards, we have straps, we have C-collars, we have all of it. So if we wanna do groups, we can do groups. You at least, a minimum of 4 people when carrying somebody on a backboard. Head, feet, and both sides, minimum. If you've got more people, especially if you have to carry them, for a long distance, you want more people. Or you at least want more people there walking with you, so that if somebody says, okay, I need to swap out, you've got extra hands, and you have to do it gently, because you don't want to draw that patient. So, typically, like I said, you've got 2 people on sides, feet, and head. So that is the scoop.
So what do you do when you log roll them, and she said to check the spine, and there's a piece of a tree limb stuck in their back right here?
You just.
Well, empty.
What did he say?
There's a piece of tree limb, when you log roll them to check their
Yeah,
back.
I got that. What did he say?
Stretcher on
Should
them.
call him some.
Piece of tree limb right here stuck in
Means you
their
don't
back.
operate
What are you
everywhere,
gonna
do
do?
You would call for a transport service, but what do you
You
do
gotta
in the
do-
meantime?
Are you gonna stand there with them log
It's like a
roll?
Rambo pushing them through.
You want to get a
That
good
would be a no.
description.
No, I mean, stabilize that so it's not wiggling
You
around.
want a good description of what you're looking at, approximate diameter, approximate length, how far, if you can judge how far it's actually in the patient. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. You don't want to touch it. You stabilize it using 4x4s or whatever you have that you can tape in place to make sure that that's not gonna move. And at that point, if they got something sticking out their back, you're not gonna put them on a backboard on their back. What we do is we actually put them on their side. Furthest side away from the injury. So if it's, say it's here in the right lower part of the back, lay them on their left. And find something, a blanket, something to pad under them to help keep them on their side. And that's if you have all of that
Throw in
available.
a
If not,
little curveball there, you know?
if not, you gotta kinda work with what you've got, but you wanna keep them off of that, because if you lay them back on it after you stabilize it, stabilizing it did nothing, you're possibly gonna stick that further in. So,
And we can still put the collar on, stabilize the head.
yes. Yeah, any fall, any very traumatic,
I just thought I'd throw a
incident.
curveball.
Like with you guys, if you're searching for somebody and they're possibly in this wooded area, when you come to a drop off and you see that this guy is now laying, let's say, you know, what, 200 yards
Downhill,
down a hill,
we'll call some other people at this point.
but you guys have found it,
Yeah.
you've located it. If you have a way to get down to it, and you have a way to get these resources down to you, you can do all of this stuff while you're waiting for someone to come lift him up. You can get him packaged, get him ready, and that way you say, this is what we've got, this is what I've done, I need him out of here. So, the way I teach for our department is I will give you the skills, I'm not giving you any reason to think that you're licensed in anything, but I will give you the skills so that you can help out someone that is licensed and they need extra hands. So, that's what we do here. So who wants to be carried down the backboard?
I will.
We're gonna do it on the floor.
Thank God.
Yeah. I'm not doing it on the tables.
Yes. It wouldn't last.
That way.
Gather around. Don't get on it, don't get on it.
Oh, come on.
Stay in the floor.
I will take the floors were mopped yesterday. I actually went to.
He just
No, I mean, that's your whole backboard.
I wasn't going on the back.
You can lay on the
What's wrong with him? Has he been in a wreck? What's wrong? Has he fell off the cliff? What's the matter with him?
The only time I've seen that post was on a DO.
Giving birth.
So, what kind of traumatic incident do you guys want to play? So she know what you're looking
He
for.
was walking in the woods and they found it, they didn't know anything.
I fell out of the tree.
So he's by himself. So he's in the woods. He says he fell out of the tree, but if he's unconscious, we don't know that he fell out of the tree. So
The rope hangs from the tree.
The safety vest didn't work,
that's what
the safety harness.
you would typically you check, sir, can you hear me? Make sure he's got a pulse, make sure he's breathing. Not knowing, you can go ahead, because I'm assuming with you guys, what you do, if you do find somebody, you do emergency rescue, emergency,
According to the situation.
yeah. So, yeah.
You guys go
So you would typically have someone, because I'm assuming too that you guys don't search alone. You don't repair.
Things.
Okay. So one person is gonna hold C-spine. Whoever wants to go to C-spine. So you're gonna, one, if you're the first person there,
Annie, are you okay?
you can do it just like that, because what you wanna do, when you're in this kind of position, where you would typically, my fingers are actually touching behind his neck, and I'm sitting here. Okay? And I'm supporting on his collarbones, and I've got my hands making sure that, for one, I can actually move my fingers and feel if there's anything jutting out of the back of his neck, anything like that. But I do this here, and then if you do that, then whoever comes in,
For the person holding C-spine, better get comfortable
yeah, you're gonna be there for a while.
before you do this.
Yeah, I usually sit back on my feet. I, like you said, get comfortable, cause you could be there for a while. And
Might
you're
bend
gonna
after
have-
this.
With them laying on their back, the best thing for you to do when you're in, a situation like this, actually slide this part under their head first. So you don't want them to do that.
No.
You don't wanna raise them
Again,
up.
I'm unconscious.
You don't want them to lift their neck, their head, anything. You want them to stay right there. Most of the time, you can slide it under easily. If you're on rocks and dirt and grass and twigs and debris, they may have to slightly, with keeping his neck in line, slightly elevate his neck. Just enough for you to get this up underneath. And that's good. And then once you put that under there, you will, you do the same thing. You walk your hand up the side of his head. Yeah, keep there. So you've got him here, and you see I was adjusting, I was pulling it more out, and then you walk your hand up. Yeah, it's high. You can see he told me it was high, and now we can see that it's high.
I thought you were unconscious. I said, I thought he was supposed to be unconscious.
And then you strap. Not comfortable, is it?
No.
That's fine,
And,
I really.
yeah, because you're not gonna get it perfect every single time, anytime. But that's typically how you do it. If they're on the ground with rocks and debris and all that, you're gonna get some stuff stuck in there. If you can clear it out while you're doing it, that's great because you're not putting any other objects that are gonna be resting on his neck while he's got this on. So, once you're there, you're there.
Sorry, he's alive though.
And while you're there, you're also supposed to assess, make sure that he's still breathing, all of that. And you can simply you can feel for the breath out of the nose.
You do it with your nose, though.
Watch and see. He's belly breathing. So his chest isn't rising, his stomach is. So you see that he's breathing. You can count how many times he's breathing within a minute. You guys typically wear watches when you search.
I mean, I haven't.
A watch is a good thing just so that you can say, okay, when
Lost your
you
C-spine.
locate them, you can say, okay, I've got him, he's breathing, so many respirations a minute. Because if you can count the respirations and let emergency crews know, then they can gauge, okay, if he's breathing 8 times a minute, that's an issue. If he's 16, 18, 20, then okay, he's all right. As far as breathing. Okay, so who wants to do the log roll? So since I've got this on this side, you're gonna maintain C-collar or C-spine. Whoever you want to do. I'm gonna walk you through.
We need people, come on.
You.
He's dead.
He can tell us which way
The
to
boss is dead.
He, at this point, he's the boss. He's gonna tell you when to roll and which direction to roll. So we've got the backboard here, which means he needs to roll that way. You can stay on that side. Because you want it rolling, but you guys are gonna have to get down on your knees. You wanna push that table back.
Are you doing that?
Is your hand up?
No, I'm just reminding somebody of something.
Well, that's the thing, is you get positioned, and you wanna get to where you're right here, because when you roll, you can actually use your legs to stop them, you know, so that they don't slide. You use their legs and your legs up against them as a buffer, and you're gonna roll them towards you. Whoever is on this side to push this in, you can move their arm. The best place is to keep their arms there, and somebody can hold them. So, you're gonna grab here, and here.
Because if I turn his hands loose, he's gonna flop. He will flop. somebody hold his hand.
So, I mean, I
I'm
told
gonna say
him.
one more, let me
You're gonna
say
grab on
one
this
thing,
side.
ceasefire.
Video.
Yes, Frank, so whenever Frank, whenever this movement takes place, here's his head, but if he moves, you got to keep that whole thing in line.
In the,
So you have to raise it up as a, however you do that.
you're not gonna have your hands on the ground anymore, when you roll him, your hands are actually gonna be up.
So
So you're gonna
That's what I'm
grab,
saying. And let that be.
You're gonna grab on this side of him,
Until something.
okay?
My phone
Use your legs
didn't
to
charge
make sure that that side doesn't
My charger
slide.
was at 50% when we got here.
Your hands
It might die.
on this side of his body to pull him towards you. So just place your hands, you're gonna grab, because you're gonna roll from this side, you're gonna roll this side up.
Hey guys,
So
Sandra, Missy, Margaret, this is gonna pick you guys up over them. We need to hush.
don't push on his stomach. I can't. Sorry, so grab here and you can grab like close to his, you can grab bellows, grab the
Hey Missy, Margaret, if y'all are gonna talk, go out there. I'm streaming this. It's recording you guys, so if you're gonna talk, go out
You gotta
there.
make sure that you don't just grab his arm and pull just his arm. You gotta grab back here on the back side of him, okay? It takes working together. Huh? No, I told him I wasn't right, so I was up, no. Make sure you grab back here, that way you don't just grab here and just, because if you just pull his arm, you're twisting his upper back. So, you'll reach across him, grab back here. I can't reach across him.
You need to do it, so.
I
so
can
you
do it.
swap.
You need to do that. I get up. Alright. Yeah, this is the thing, is it takes a lot of teamwork, communication, and sometimes it's heavy lifting. So,
Sorry.
you'll have to get on your
No,
knees.
you're fine. You're fine.
So, on your count, you guys are gonna roll,
You guys position now?
Is his foot gonna be in the way?
his foot will be in the way for moving this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's why I said everybody on your knees is the best bet.
Even me?
So-
Cause I won't have any
Okay, so.
stability.
Well, you're not gonna lift him up, you're gonna just raise your hands, you're gonna guide his neck.
Line yourself
So-
straight with him. There you go.
When you guys get ready, and on your count,
On the count of
you're
three,
gonna tell them
to my right.
which way you're gonna roll.
On the count of three, to my right.
I'll-
3,
I'll-
2, 1.
Roll,
Roll.
it
Lift,
takes
roll.
time, just rolling.
my neck off.
Oh, don't tell me.
You get them up far enough, they'll slide this underneath him, okay? This is when somebody is gonna take and walk down their spine. You check for any deviation. If he is conscious, he'll tell you if anything hurts. You palpate his back, all down his hips, all down his butt, his legs. And if he says, I'm good, then on your count, you can roll him back. You want this up underneath, right here. It's not gonna be comfortable, but you want it that far because when you lay him down, it's almost like a cradle. Some of them kind of dip in, he'll fall into it. You don't want him too far off of the backboard. So, on your count, go
Going
and roll
down. 3, 2, 1.
So there's that. Now, if he's further on that side than he is on this side, you can adjust him. You still have to maintain, but you can simply grab his belt
Pull him over.
and here, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, push towards me. And now he's more centered. That's where these come in place.
This is the key part.
If their hands flop around, just try to put them back up here when you start to scrub. So, nipples, make sure that this white piece is up, okay? If they're unconscious, you wanna go over their arms to help keep their arms in place. If they're alert and oriented, and you're just worried, about maintaining their spine, but they're talking, they have control of their limbs, then you can do it under their arms.
We're dropping them off the stretchers. Just kidding.
Yes. We typically use a few more. You don't wanna go right across the knees, go right above the knees. That way you're not when you tighten it down, you're not restricting if they do move. But you guys can strap these on. You can take the paper off. We typically use a lot more.
Okay, you're further down than I was. I was up
That's
above.
fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
okay.
But you take that off. The reason you do the white paper up when you put it through is because if you take these off beforehand, it's gonna stick to dirt and gravel and everything, and they're gonna be useless.
Okay.
So you want, like I said, you want the 2 fingers.
Obviously, you have to cut 'em.
Oh, no, you cut them off, whenever you get them where they need to go.
So this is
Put 'em too
typically,
tight, you basically have to cut it off to start over.
Probably try.
Me?
It's not-
that was me touching you.
Okay.
It's pretty.
Matter of fact, like I said, if he's unconscious, you want to strap his arms in. You can actually do it a little lower if you wanted to come up. That way his arms don't slide out. Or you can just grab more straps. You can grab more straps and, put more straps on. Like I said, we used 8 on a guy the other day. Like you could put a strap here to go here, you can do a strap down here. This, you're going to simply, you'll elevate his, just slightly lift. I should have actually put this down. No, that one is already used.
You can open it again?
Not easily.
So you slide it right in here, right there. You want it down far enough to where once you take the red tabs, it actually sticks. So once you're there, I'm trying not to catch your hair because these stick.
Yes, no.
These red things, just pull it. Push that down. Somebody can pull that one. And push that side down. Now you have this tab behind his head, which is tricky sometimes. Alright, I'm trying not to pull your hair.
Thank you. I don't have much of it.
Sometimes they're stiff. Yeah, you feel it?
Straight out.
Yep, pull straight out. Okay.
Nope, she got less hair.
Okay.
So,
Do I still
now,
hold?
nope.
No.
At this point, you can let go because the job your hands were doing is what these wedges are now doing. They're keeping his head from rolling. So, that is that. Some of these do come with this strap, and this is what we were talking about, the different straps.
The head strap?
It can go across the mouth if you have one that wants to argue with you. Just joking. It shows you, it's a head strap. It tells you it can go across the forehead. So you would,
Put a sock in there first.
Are we doing it?
Realize in the future you may have to do it.
everything goes through and on the outside.
Sticky.
Yep, sticky side up. Yeah, I have a picture out.
Good.
Not going across your nose.
You got it.
Are you breathing?
But you've gotta make sure that you let enough space on this side too. Cause there's actually a sticky part here too. I'm not gonna take that off to stick to his forehead. There is a sticky part right there that you can put across their forehead, and it's like tape. So, they are sticky, it will stick, okay? And that's why,
Yours not sticking either?
well, cause I
Because we
didn't,
have to peel it all.
I have to peel the whole thing off,
Okay.
and I don't wanna stick it to his hair and his head. If he was unconscious, I would, but he's not, we're just pretending he is. So that is typically how you package somebody. Like I said, you can put an extra strap here if he's unconscious to keep his arms in. You put an extra strap down there to make sure that if say he was to have a tib-fib fracture to the left leg and right below the knee, his leg is coming out this way. First, they have to stabilize it correctly, but then you would put straps to hold it in place. So next comes the lifting part. I'm gonna take this off because it'll fall while we're doing it. So we'll take that off. This is where you want a lot of people, but you don't want too many because too many is gonna become an issue. You're gonna get on in each other's way. I'm not gonna lift. I'm gonna show you guys what you've gotta do. Who knows the #1 rule of lifting?
Knees.
use your knees, especially if you're coming from the ground.
Anybody drops me.
This is a trust exercise.
Then Sandra will give you a $20 bill
So,
for whoever does it.
at this point, you want
You
someone at
think
the
these
head,
straps will stop me?
you want someone at the head, you want someone at the feet, and 2 people on that side, and 2 people on this side.
Where do you want your strongest people? Or does anybody ever think about that?
Well, see, strongest, you would say upper body, because most of your weight is here. And your most important part, not that you're not important, but, your most important part is from here up.
Okay.
So you want somebody that's very capable of carrying the weight, not getting tired quickly, and that can manage walking, carrying
So
somebody.
is it better to go here or on the side since we're walking?
You want one person at the head, one person at the feet, and then for him, I want one person there, one person there, one person here, one person there. So you're gonna have a total of 6 people carrying me.
Strong person up there.
Somebody?
Come on, Ryan.
The person at the head has control. So, when you decide and make sure that everybody is ready to lift, then you will count. On your count, they will lift. But you need to know where you're going with him.
Where are we going?
Are you walking backwards to go out that door? Are you guys walking that way to go out that door? Down the hallway? Where's the stretcher? Typically with us, the stretcher's close, so we just pick up and walk a couple of feet, or out of one room down the hallway and to the next.
Just pick him up and maybe move him and sit him back down.
Okay?
So, we're in the woods, you're not gonna have this many people climbing up the hill.
It's gonna be like 3 of us.
It'll be 2 and 2.
There have been situations where if it's a large person, or depending on your geography issues, as far as if you're up a hill or whatnot, if you've got them strapped in, and say you've got an embankment, best thing, you guys carry webbing.
We will be having some.
Tie webbing. We just did this. Tie webbing to the top of the backboard. Someone needs to be up there, or if you have more people, it works great. Someone needs to be able to pull. The other people need to stabilize him, make sure that it doesn't flip, it doesn't roll, and you push as they're pulling. That's gonna be your best, quickest way to get somebody out. It's not always recommended. More people would be recommended, but we don't always have that.
More
So,
than likely you
tie
use
rope.
a kernel.
Throw him on the back of the
Tie rope.
four-wheeler.
You don't wanna do just one side, you're gonna wanna do here and here, so if you have to wrap it,
Downhill, just let him go like a sled.
go through this side, and go through this side, like you were wrapping somebody up underneath their armpits to lift them with rope. You'll do that here, tie it off, and go as far as you can to where you can get a solid, safe grounding to be able to pull. And like I said, the other people are going to push, but maintain that he is not gonna roll, and you're gonna drag him face first versus on the backboard. The backboard makes it a little more easier to slide him. We've actually strapped people like this and slid them through houses that were too narrow, just on the ground. And that's just simple pull and push.
Right.
So, what I want you guys to do is to pick him up, make this turn, and set him down on the ground over there by the kitchen door. So, this is where your teamwork, communication, all of that comes into effect.
1, 2, 3.
And make sure you're about waist high, if possible. Make sure you've got a good grip on him. You wanna keep him level. And then when you're ready to stop, you can say, okay, here.
Up here. There.
Anytime you go up, anytime you go down, it's always on the head person's count. That way, everybody is on the same page, and because you have this portion of him in your hands, then you wanna make sure he doesn't get dropped head first, where he's ending up with more head trauma,
That's good.
anything like that. So, that's carrying. Now, you guys being in the woods possibly, you may have to carry it a lot longer.
So if we're in the woods, we're gonna have to walk that way for a long time, put 3 on each side, and you can walk like this,
Sideways.
sideways, so give that a shot.
Y'all can do that too.
If you need to pick it up like so, how you just picked it up, okay, then position yourself. You kinda want this big height thing at this point. Who's the highest person, tallest person? They need to be up there
No.
and come down.
Not necessarily. Depends which way you're going.
Well, we're just on level ground,
You
I'm trying
don't,
to keep
yeah,
his
on
head a
level
little bit
ground, you
elevated.
wanna keep him level.
Right. Right.
Anytime your grounding changes, you do not want his head below his feet.
So is what you're talking about, you still have
Well, we
someone here?
Three people.
You see what I'm
If
saying?
you've got enough people, right, if you got enough person to put, that's gonna help those 6 out.
You could actually have picked him up before. You
We
probably,
three
naturally do the height
Like me
thing,
and him,
though. I mean,
we
every,
could probably.
Well, you always want someone on each side, because you don't know, especially being in some of the areas that you guys are gonna be in. You don't know rocks, stumps, holes in the
Sure,
ground.
you're gonna lose.
So the less people you have, the less secure he is. So if you at least have one person on each side, that's more hands-on. If somebody was to step into a hole, the other ones can quickly react to keep him level. But, like I said, when you have enough people, it's great to have extra people. The larger somebody is, the more people you're gonna need, and not just to carry him at once, but people to swap out, especially if you're gonna be walking from the woods to some parking lot. So extra people's always great. If you don't have people, get on a radio or however you guys contact people and get more personnel just for hands. They don't have to be certified in anything. You just need somebody to help you carry. And I think most people can do that. So, but if you wanna pick him up like he was talking about, where you have 3 on each side and one hand, and everybody face the same direction and walk.
Question, do you always put the head first, the direction?
I do, because I'm a head first kind of person. I have seen them carry people feet first, but it just depends on if you can't turn around, if you can't get him, because like right now, you could actually take, if he was on flat surface concrete flooring like he is now, you can take and just spin him.
Right.
Whereas if you're in the woods and you're up against trees, you're not gonna be able to do that, but if you go head first, you're going further up a hill or a mountain, whereas if you go feet first, you're gonna go down back to the path.
Right.
You know, we'll just say that. So you could go feet first, and once you get an opening, you could spin. That way, everybody's focus is carrying where they're at, making sure he's level, but primary is right here. You don't want it to go lower than the feet. You don't want it to twist sideways, anything like that, because depending on the person, depending on how well these are strapped in, these are good straps. Like we're gonna have to cut them out. But the more you have on, that's what I was saying is.
Dude, you're unconscious, stop it.
Like I would typically, if
just
he
had
was
a
found in the
seizure.
woods unconscious, I would have a strap here and a strap down there as well. But if you were to flip him, like what he just did, they're gonna come off. Because you're taking his weight and upside down, and it's gonna come off. And you may have these pop off and this is still attached, so he's just hanging half off the board. So you always wanna keep really good, be detail oriented in your surroundings and know what's going on. And I know you're gonna find a hole somewhere that's covered up with leaves that you didn't know was there. So that's why you need the extra people, is always for safety, to watch out for each other, watch out for him.
So is it always that person's job at the head to make sure he continues breathing?
Yes.
And he's always the one in charge.
Whoever has the head, because breathing, pulse, all of that is here. If you are licensed, or you know you've got the skills to make sure that he's maintaining a pulse and breathing. Talking people are always great, because you know they're breathing. But if not, and you need, say you've got an extra person that's not caring at the time, but they're an EMT, paramedic, nurse, whatever, they know how to check vitals, they CNA, whatever. They can randomly check for a carotid. Because if he's unconscious, depending on the situation, you may not find a regular pulse. So carotid is always safe. Try not to pinch it with my fingers.
He's still one.
And then make sure that he's breathing. So you always want to maintain that. Whoever's here, if he's unconscious and he opens his eyes,
and he starts to mumble, let your team know, hey, his eyes are open. Because you don't know if now that he's become aware, semi-aware of the situation, as he becomes more alert, he may become aggressive. He may start trying to lift his legs and his arm. Your team needs to know that. Because if we didn't have straps right here, and he starts to get a little feisty, and he raises his hand, next thing you know, somebody gets slapped in the head. Or we do have them grab people, which kind of throws off the whole thing. But I mean, it's always, you always have to be aware of everything. Whoever's up front, if you're carrying like you guys just did, whoever's at the head and here can watch and maintain for any changes in the face, the breathing, and the pulse. If you've got enough people, I wouldn't advise it just because you're taking a hand off. But if you've got, say you've got 6 people like you guys did, whoever's standing right here can actually one-handed still carry him and walking and try to check his pulse to make sure that he's still got a good pulse. I wouldn't, because that's taking a hand off, but if that's what you have to do, it's what you have to do.
If they're conscious, I would assume that you should engage them in conversation.
Yes, keep
So
them
how are you
alert.
doing, we're lifting you,
Yep.
and try to explain to them what's going on,
Yes.
so that they're not freaking out. Right?
If they are alert, ask them their name, date of birth, where do you live, you know, wife, kids, keep them talking. Ask them simple A&O questions, alert and oriented. What year is it? Because we're president. What city are we in? What month is it? So, questions that everybody should know. If you have a kid in this situation, you know, it's kind of harder to gauge depending on their age. If it's like a 4th grader and you ask them who the president is, I don't know that they're gonna tell you it's Donald Trump. Because they may not pay that much attention to mom and dad arguing about the president. So just ask them questions, you know, how old are you? Do you know where you're at? Keep them talking. The more that they're talking, not only do you know that they're breathing, because they're able to conversate with you, but you build that connection with a patient so that they're gonna feel more comfortable with you and build a trust to say, okay, this is what's going on. Or if it's a kid, I ran away from home and I fell down on this hill. I've been stuck in the woods for 4 days. You know, they'll build that, they'll open up to you. Just get somebody to start conversating, keep them talking.
So how often do you check, if she's unconscious, how often do you check those?
Was it priority 1 patients every 5 minutes?
That's what the thing says. I guess looking at them, they start bluing up.
Yeah, they start going blue checking.
Yeah.
But typically, unconscious, not knowing what's going on, I would check every 5 minutes.
So then we can stop in theory and check.
And it may make for a longer haul, but if you guys have to set him down every 5 to 7 minutes just to check his pulse, do it. Because you may set him down and realize he has no pulse, he's quit breathing, and now instead of carrying him, you are going to start doing CPR. So yeah, every 5 to 7 minutes, if they're not alert and talking to you, if you have to set him down, do it. Check his pulse, get a quick reading on his vitals, pick up and go. That also gives everybody a minute to relax, breathe, and then pick up and go again. If he's talking and he's fully capable of telling you, hey, I was drunk, I left the bar, I don't know where I'm at, I fell
I
down.
only had 2 beers.
So, you know, if he's able to tell you that, just make sure that there's no major bleeding. If he starts complaining of my back hurts, my neck hurts, this, we've already got the C-collar on, and there's not a whole lot you can do for neck pain in a situation that you guys would be in. So just keep carrying and say, buddy, I know you're hurting, we're trying to get you there as quickly as possible. As soon as we can get you some meds, we'll get you something. Find out what they're allergic to. That way, as soon as you show up and whoever's transporting is there, if he's allergic to morphine, hey, he's allergic to morphine, don't give it to him. They'll give him whatever else they've got on the truck. But that way, you can help along with him getting treated quicker. So, always do that. But if you guys wanna do the lift, like Bobby was suggesting, 3 on each side, and you can kinda one-handed in and walk, or 2-handed and walk one way, y'all can try that, because that may seem to fit you guys in the settings that you guys are gonna be in.
Spinning.
Y'all can spin it if you want to or not.
You pick up either
Go
end,
with it.
but you're fine.
Just as long as his head remains above his feet. And we'll just go back to where he was. Like I said, this is where teamwork, communication comes in.
Can you go ask me see if I can borrow her cord and power bank that she was using?
Down, 1, 2.
There you go. So, it's 12 o'clock, we're going to lunch, we'll be back later.
iPhone or?
Thank you.
It's not comfortable.
I know, turn on the blue lights, come on, Bobby.
That's why anybody that volunteers, you kind of get a closer.
Got 3 blue lights.
understanding of what a
Thank you.
patient goes through. So you can say, hey, I've been there, I know it's not comfortable, but just let us get you there and we'll get you out of all this stuff as soon as possible. So, does everybody have scissors or a knife that they carry?
Most everyone does, carries,
Trauma shears or knife?
Knife.
everybody carries a knife, I don't know, but everybody carries a pair of scissors.
I'm trying to get some
Sartec
manual
requires-
scissors for everybody, but.
Do they?
Sartec requires.
Well, I have some mini.
Empty shirt.
This was my Christmas present. I have some mini shears. They're like half the size of regular scissors.
Those will work for it.
Everybody asks if I have a knife. I'm like, no, but if I.
But I want my scissors back.
Well, I tried scissors in the woods, like cutting those briars. The best thing I got for that is the mini, like garden snips. I snip them briars and.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me grab these.
Rolling.
Good job.
Thank you.
I have a longer cord if you want.
It's fine. I just didn't charge my phone last night, so I started off on 40%, and it beeped at me. It's got 10% remaining.
Those are the mini ones I was talking about. We had a whole bunch of them because we were saving them for making sure it's the big ones, but. Does everybody have
Yes.
You do. I don't. I don't think. I don't think I do. Jen, me, Jen.
I just noticed that, that's all.
Don't eat. Don't drink that.
Yeah.
I was surprised at that. I didn't know that's what he was doing.
Thank you, ma'am. I know Jen will need a pair too. Thank you. And then Brittany, Sandra, Brittany might as well. So she's not here. Thank you. Okay. Right.
I gotta do those. I'm gonna show my part, so you that's what we use, for different situations.
Thank you for the shears.
No problem.
You want these anywhere?
I'm just gonna throw them back in the box, because
These we use them for practice, we can reuse them.
So
if
you've
they
got
come in
yours,
something like that. I know you're going to have some.
Brian, Heather, and Jimmy.
I'll wipe them
Well,
down
I got a couple of extras.
and we'll reuse them.
Good deal. I can put extras in my IC bag if Robert, even though Robert's not technically on yet. Well, and he might have some because he was on the response team at his work.
I'm gonna put the mini in my pack and that might be equal.
Yeah. That's cool. So is that the end of the C-spine?